Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Hello and welcome to the Think Factory podcast. My name is Susan Kleiner. I'm a partner with Outside General Counsel Solutions, and I'm the host of today's episode. I'm so happy to have here with me today Sara Kaylor. Sara Kaylor is the Executive Clinical Officer at Gallus Medical Detox Centers, licensed as both a chemical dependency counselor and professional counselor in Texas. She has over 13 years of clinical experience in behavioral health, 10 years directly related to substance use treatment. Sara was born and raised in North Texas and graduated with her master's degree in rehabilitation counseling from the University of North Texas. Thank you, Sara. Thanks for being here with me on the Think Factory.
Thank you.
So I'm really interested to hear more about Gallus and what sets it apart. I know that I was really struck with the fact that it has as its mission, which is prominently displayed on the website, dignity and healing, which is like not necessarily something that I think about when I think about detox. So I'd love to hear more about Gallus and what this means and how it's set apart from other centers.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started out in Arizona, probably about 12, 13 years ago. And our main doctor that opened up, Dr. Gallus, realized that individuals being treated in the ER for addiction and withdrawals were not being treated well. So he decided to open up his own detox and treat individuals with dignity instead of, the stigma that surrounds addiction at times. So that's how we got started. And at this point, we continue to provide that dignity at any point in time when we treat individuals that are struggling with alcohol and substance use.
I think that that's like such an important point, that to recognize, the individuals separate and apart from their substance abuse, or their alcohol dependency, and being kind and with dignity. I think the other thing that, you and I spoke about before was that you have this ability at Gallus, because you do different types of detox, but you're really able to meet patients where they're at. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. A lot of times individuals, might deal with chronic pain. It's very common in our times in this space. And we will, help them maintain their pain meds without making them discontinue, which a lot of treatment facilities in the substance use world, they don't do that. So, maybe they're using alcohol to additionally cope and manage. It's very common. But with us meeting them where they are and providing that dignity, treating them like a human, we can help get them off the alcohol, but help work with a pain management doctor or help, setting them up with maybe a different pain management doctor, but with all of their ongoing care providers, right? And getting them to that point that they're not having to suffer in their back pain or their neck pain or whatever pain they might have while they're detoxing from another substance.
Right. So it's really not one size fits all. Everybody has their own individual plan. Now you talked a little bit about stigma and, obviously stigma, in 2024, is still, very prevalent concerning, addiction, substance abuse, overdose, etc. Tell me, how does Gallus, how is stigma affecting the work that you do, or how, what do you do to try and break the barriers of stigma?
I think it's just providing education to the families, providing education to individuals when they call looking for detox services. Not only are they so scared of the withdrawal process in general, maybe they're scared of telling their job, or maybe they're scared of telling their family, and being able to provide them the empowerment and that encouragement to say, hey, it doesn't discriminate. Addiction and substance use, it doesn't matter what that looks like or how much money you make or don't make. It affects all of us, right? So being able to help provide that sympathy, that empathy, and let them know that we're here for them regardless, however they show up.
And also for their, right. And with their families too, like.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's huge. I'm curious, in talking about stigma, and I think every chance that we have, and we can talk about, recovery and addiction. I mean, it hits, like you said, it does not discriminate. Like you probably have, you know, doctors and lawyers and students and, blue collar, white collar. It does not discriminate. I'm curious, what is it, that brought you into this field, and how is it that you got involved in dealing with addiction and substance abuse?
It was pure happenstance. However, I mean, we are all affected in some way or somehow, whether it be a family member, a friend, a spouse. We are all affected by it, and especially now in 2024, right? It's become such a part of our world, and it it kind of found me, and I haven't let it go at this point, and I love it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a real vocation for you. Well, so one thing that I thought was interesting too is that when I think about detox, my head automatically goes to fentanyl, opiates, and thankfully there are, new medications, to assist, and help people, different than what it used to be. But I just wanted to know if maybe you could speak a little bit. I mean, really, alcohol withdrawal, I believe, can be so much more difficult and potentially life-threatening than it is with some of the other substance abuse. And I know for me that was surprising. I'm not in the field. Could you just talk a little bit about that in case any of our listeners are new to hearing about this as well?
Absolutely. We always, yeah, alcohol being the most legal and the most accessible, right? It is also the most lethal and deadly on so many different levels. But actually, discontinuing alcohol use without any sort of medical assistance can absolutely be harmful, more so than opiates and other drugs where, people that you see struggling with an opiate addiction and they're trying to come off, it's hard for them. They feel like they want to die. With alcohol, you can actually die, whether that be, seizures from the withdrawals or even, having a stroke from the withdrawals. It does a number on your body. And so being able to provide that supervision and that medical supervision is helpful. I mean, we encourage people as best as possible to not just cold turkey before they come in. Continue to drink until you get to our door, and then let us help and take over from there to make sure that you are safe and that you get through this as comfortable and, of course, with as much dignity as possible, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's such an important point, and that it's a medical issue. It's not an issue of willpower. It's not about going cold turkey. It's about making sure that you get the care that you need with dignity while you're going through the process.
Absolutely.
So, I know that one of the issues that I hear about in the, mental health, substance abuse fields is that how difficult it is on the folks working in the field, especially, I think I've heard about it more, since the pandemic started, but I know that it's hard to attract and retain, that there's a lot of burnout. What is Gallus doing about that?
In general, with any kind of healthcare, mental health, any of that type of setting, it's just really encouraging that time off, and taking those breaks, being able to have safe places to process through kind of just rough cases, and just having that kind of fellowship amongst, the work environment too. So it's just not, that doesn't just start building up into where, you can't let that go, because that burnout is real. Listening to people's traumas and their injuries, it can get difficult. So, having a place to be able to process through is helpful with that. And checking out from it, right? Taking a vacation for a couple of days or whatever it is that, you need to do to help prevent that. It's very beneficial.
So, I mean, it sounds to me like, encouraging more balance in the workplace.
Absolutely.
And certainly like making sure that people get, what they need personally, like put on your own oxygen mask, which we always hear about.
Right.
So So you started off your career as a counselor, and now you're working in administration, right? You're the executive clinical officer. Um, how is how was that transition for you, and what advice would you give to other people, particularly women, looking to advance their career and advance their leadership in an organization such as yours?
I would say embrace the opportunities that happen. If I have found that in my transition, climbing up the ladder, if you will, it's been doing what I do and just not necessarily sticking out, but also sticking out from the rest as well, right? Showing that I am capable of doing more, but showing that confidence and having that ability to just take it on and say, you know what, I'm going to do this.
So
And I
having
think go ahead.
no, but like, so having the courage and the confidence,
Yes,
and to go for it, to seize the opportunities that come your way.
absolutely.
So do you do any clinical, I mean, do you work with patients yourself still, or are you more in administration?
I still work with patients myself, absolutely.
Oh, so that's good.
Yeah. So there's still that sense of fulfillment, especially when I have some major breakthroughs that I sometimes see, so being in detox, it's obviously acute care and it's very short lived, but there are times where, they obviously don't come in on their best day of their life, but they might leave feeling very, very well. And for them to kind of just take that moment in just a few days and get some sparks back in their life, if you will, or find some hope. It's that in itself is rewarding.
Well, it's a long road, right? Like,
Absolutely.
unfortunately, you can't fix people in 4 to 5 days, but I guess you can help set the foundation. Do you ever have folks that come back? Like, that's,
I do.
well,
Absolutely.
that's gotta be really fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's coming up next for Gallus? Like, what are you looking forward to, and what are you working on?
So right now we're looking at adding intensive outpatient to our Denver clinic. We're actually looking at doing that within the next couple weeks. So looking super forward to that and being able to provide those services on a level that, just like the detox side, that, we're able to do things and meet them individually that maybe other places can't do. So super looking forward to that. We're also looking at adding IOP into the Dallas location, probably within the next month or two. And then we'll shortly follow in the Scottsdale location.
Oh, wow. So that's kind of a change, right? Moving from
Yeah.
just detox to, or not just detox, but moving from detox, because I guess as of now, you probably have a lot of referral relationships. So would people go right from detox to IOP, or would they go from detox to inpatient to IOP, or is it just very like case by case?
Very much case by case. I think that this IOP will be helped to be set up for individuals that maybe can't go to residential or inpatient. Maybe they have their day-to-day jobs and they can't get away for 30 days. It just provides them another opportunity. So, and
Again,
it might be just from a referent that, maybe they came from residential, but they don't really need detox, but they might need some extra help.
Sure, that makes sense, right? So you might even get people that, not coming up through detox, but, coming to you. And I guess also, dignity through healing, dignity in healing, would be across the board for detox and IOP.
Absolutely.
So if people are interested in getting in touch with you or learning more about Gallus, what's the best way for them to do so?
Visit us at gallusdetox.com. It has all of our services, our numbers, our locations. So yeah, that's the best way.
So we ask everyone that appears on Think Factory podcasts, what keeps you up at night?
What I will say is hopefully nothing, because if something that's keeping me up at night, I'm not doing my part with the burnout piece. I'm not providing a good balance for myself. And that for me is when I need to take some time. And so hopefully nothing. And that is my goal.
But if it is something, then, I guess you have to, work on creating your own boundaries and putting on your own oxygen mask.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with me on today's episode. And be sure to check out the other Think Factory podcasts, where my colleagues and I also talk to industry leaders in various industries. Thanks, Sara, so much for being with us here today.
Thank you.